Welcome to the Great Civilization Experiment. Over 200 Minecraft players were split into 4 races, each having their own unique abilities and islands. The Shulks a rocky wasteland, the merlings a sunken archipelago, the enderians an overgrown jungle, and the humans a forest paradise. Players were given absolutely no help and only one life each. Corruption, lies, deceit. The rest of what happened was completely up to them and a story that you do not want to miss. I present to you one thing before we continue, this video was heavily inspired by Magicum and Ish13C. I recommend you guys check out their videos if you enjoyed this one. Also, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. Day 1 started off much like any other Minecraft SMP. Players ran around exploring for most of the time. They also, sang.
Stupid devs, that funny cause that's true.
Probably my fault. The Shulks had different plans though. Not only did they starve faster than the regular human, but their island offered little to nothing in terms of food or trees. After they found a spot with a few trees, they decided to settle there. For those on the Enderian island, they were still exploring it, and in the middle of that, it started raining. Of course, Enderians and water do not bode well together, so they decided to bunker down. After digging around for a while, the residents of the Enderian island seem to have set up their base in this cave system, along with a small farm. Now heading over to the Merling island, life seemed to be best here. Completely opposite to the Enderians, Merlings loved the rain. Because of the rain, they were able to go onto land and start building structures? Anyways, besides that, the Merlings seem to be progressing the fastest out of all the races, starting an underwater colony as well as a giant underwater pit of doom for mining purposes. Over on the human island, it was a bit messier. Instead of working together, the humans just ran around slaughtering each other. Honestly, kinda realistic. But eventually, they seemed to calm down.
Now hear me out. We are the human master race. Why are we slaughtering each other so much? We can do that after we've tuned races up.
They'll be fine. And with surprisingly few natural deaths, the day drew to an end. Each race started preparing for tomorrow and finally, the server shut down. Day 2 was a relatively important day. It was the day that each race could prove their teamwork. Players would have the chance to run for leadership, and if they became the leader, then they could evolve their origin. To become the leader, you needed at least 66% of votes from your race, and this included dead people, so you couldn't just go around mindlessly slaughtering others that wouldn't vote for you. Of course, you didn't have to evolve to lead your own group. This was simply a system put in place to encourage teamwork. Anyways, players had until the end of the day to vote, where then any players that met the threshold would be announced. As of currently, barriers were preventing each race from traveling to other islands, but this would change on day 4. Where then the barriers would drop. With this fact looming in the distance, tensions were on the rise. Due to unforeseen actions, the humans set their eyes on the Merlings. This was because earlier, the Merlings had accused a few other players for being human spies, which obviously angered them. The humans, which saw the Shulks as their greatest threat, declared to the Merlings that they wanted, quote, 15 dead Shulks by day 4, or they threatened the slaughtering of the Merling race. The Merlings promptly ignored this. Over on the Shulk Island, residents had started to build a town out of the resources available to them. Because of their huge disadvantage early game, they were forced to progress slower than the other races. While behind, they were surely gaining back lost ground. Between their potato farms and fishing teams, the Shulks seemed to have positioned themselves quite comfortably. Moving on to the Enderian island, not too much has changed. Players there have been expanding on their underground base. With trees planted inside their base, they no longer needed to leave for the outside. I guess the rain really scarred them. Over on the Merling island, the town continued to expand. They not only had underwater mines, but also giant kelp farms for food and another more mysterious project. Aside from the death threats that the Merlings kept receiving from the humans, they continued living their peaceful lives. Now on the human island, we find that they've constructed their main base on top of a mountain. They also decided to finally stop killing each other, coming under the control of a group that called themselves the Mongolians. The humans reached peace, or at least however close they could come to it. Anyways, with most of the bloodshed behind them, they seem to be having a grand old time over there.
What the Phantom doing? Hey, yo, what the Phantom doing? What the Phantom doing? Yo!
They also had a few things to say about the Merlings.
Cringe if they kill the shulks.
Bitches, I hate them so much.
We're ready to turn him into sushi.
And with that, it's about time to announce the leaders. This honestly surprised me. Every single race had managed to elect a leader to receive their evolution. For the humans, their leader simply received a really overpowered golden crown. But as for the other leaders, they basically become better versions of themselves. Over on the Merling Island, a player by the name of X Daydreaming X became their leader. For the humans, a player named 6969 became leader. Enderians elected a player named Cross Falcon X5 as their leader. And finally, with exactly 66% of the votes, a player by the name of Dark TG became the leader of the Shulks. With tomorrow being the last day before borders fall and international tensions rising, we head on to day 3. Immediately at the start of day 3, the Shulks were on the move. Due to the incredibly close leader vote from their previous day, many on the island were not content. The Shulks ended up splitting into 2 groups, one now named the Dark TG group and the other the Rebels. The Rebels had tried to assassinate Dark TG the second day 3 started, but due to his incredibly high amount of armor, they failed. While they were unable to kill the leader, there were many that followed Dark TG who were incredibly undergeared, and as a result, they fled their first base.
No, don't let them kill no.
Stay with Dark, guys. Just lead the way, Dark.
I see 2 in the water, 2 in the water.
Just
2 in the water, pop man.
steer away from them.
Yeah, don't leave anyone behind. Guys, stick with the blade
Yeah,
and the boat.
if they get too close,
we shouldn't be running.
Run.
The Shulks ran alongside the northwest corner of their island, eventually settling down about 500 blocks out from their first base. After getting away to a safer location, they immediately started to set up camp. Over on the Enderian island, the players were in a tough spot. Not only were the Enderians the most vulnerable in terms of their abilities, but also most of their population had already died one way or another. And as a result, the Enderians decided that their best course of action would be to team up with the Merlings and the Shulks. And with this new alliance came the birth of a new group, UCOM, or the United Coalition of Monsters. Of course, the humans felt blatantly disrespected by this action, and in return, all chances of diplomacy were thrown out the window. Over on the human island, the residents grew more and more restless. Under the control of the Mongolians, they wanted blood, and with the borders falling the next day, by God were they willing to do anything to get it. In preparation, they started fishing, but not for food, for enchantments. With that and all players raring to go, peace had finally given way to the World Race War.
Alright boys, those walls drop, we're gonna rush them, and we're gonna beat them. Let's go.
Humans had gone unchecked for a little too long.
Just trying to stay alive.
A group of Merlings and Shulks were sent over to the Enderian island straight away. Their only job was to protect and transport the Enderians over to the Shulk island, where then they would reside safe away from the human reach.
What about Noble? What about
What's
Noble?
up, Merlings?
Hey, what's up?
Yo, what's
Yo, okay, guys, please protect us. Yo, guys, alright, protect us.
Go straight for down.
Fully
I should probably.
But little did they know, the humans were already on their way. While the Enderians made it safely to the Shulk base, on the north side of the island, instead of sticking to plan, 3 humans decided to leave their island and taunt their enemies.
Look at these b****s in the water though. Look at these b****s in the water though. Shit.
Then with incredible timing, while I was checking a player's inventory, it started raining. The previously sea-stuck merlings were now able to travel onto land. This really didn't change anything in the beginning, and in fact, actually got 2 unsuspecting merlings killed. But now overflowing with confidence, 3 humans decided that they could take on the entire Shulk Island by themselves. And with that, thus begun the hunt.
What? Right side! Right side! Right side! Right side! Over there! Over there!
The merlings and shulks were immediately alerted by the presence of humans, and right as the humans reached the Shulk Island, they were split up.
Are you peaceful or not? Are you peaceful or not?
Oh no. I mean, I'm just being chased by 50 people.
Focus the human. It's going to leave with the boat.
He's gonna hit people when they try to go up. Hey.
Yeah, careful.
Luckily, Harukawa was able to escape, but not without a steep cost though. The United Coalition had instead set their eyes on Harukawa's friend, pontificated.
Where's the human, bro? Where's I don't know where the human is, man. Man, I have no idea.
Going down. He's leaving.
Trade.
Good job.
Okay, I need his armor.
Can I get some of that?
Due to the death of his friend, Harukawa went back to the Shulk Island for revenge. Probably good-natured at most, but unfortunately, he eventually befell the same fate.
Get it.
Just like all times, yeah.
Guys, get out the way!
We're the merlings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Kill him fast.
Yep.
Poison.
We rejoice! We rejoice!
Wait.
The humans were not having a good time.
One of 2 of our guys are dead already.
True. We need as much people as possible.
And their leader 6969 was not happy. He gave a slightly exaggerated declaration and then ventured off into Yukon territory. And not to be anticlimactic, but... Well, traveling away from the front line, while all this was happening, the residents of the Shulk base were busy building. They transformed the inside of their base to be more accommodating for the merlings and expanded on their farms. It was at this point where Yukon may have made their mistake. I'm unsure if this event was a catalyst for the future bloodshed, but in the heat of the moment, the United Coalition invaded the human island. It was an absolute massacre. After the humans had lost some of their best fighters earlier due to arrogance, their society stood no chance. The Yukon invaders burned down everything the humans had, Mongolian or not, and brought the human population to the brink of extinction. The remaining humans scattered, and eventually, the Yukon fighters returned to their base to celebrate. It was a good day. Well, for everyone except the humans. They were busy being hunted down. The invasion of the human island allowed for several days of peace over at the previously Shulk base, now turned Yukon base. Of course, this wasn't the case for the fighters, who continued their merciless slaughtering. The humans had been forced to retreat into the underground and made a deal with the devil. In exchange for their leader buff, the humans wanted 3 of their members revived. Seeing the incredibly sad state that they were in, it was a pretty fair trade. They lost their overpowered crown and gained back 3 members. Nothing that bad could come from this, right? Right? Day 6 was about the same as day 5. The human population kept dropping and they've just about abandoned the idea of creating a new civilization. Instead, they started to adapt more guerrilla warfare tactics, but mostly without the tactics or warfare, just guerrilla. It was very apparent that the more humans died, the more complacent Yukon and their residents became. The last big threats were the rebel shulks, but in the face of basically the world, they surrendered themselves. No longer was there any struggle for the United Coalition. They mainly spent most of their days partying and apparently getting married. I'm not too sure how that works either.
Don't! No!
Stop it now.
The rift between the Yukon fighters and their residents seemed to grow, while the humans despised the other races for putting them in their current situation. Something large was about to happen. Just nobody knew how devastating the effects were about to be. Peace had finally been achieved. After a long conquest spanning multiple days, it was concluded that the humans were too weak to challenge the might of Yukon. A merling had built a DJ station within the base and played music out of a jukebox for everyone in celebration. Even the Yukon fighters had decided to stay home instead of traveling out to find humans. During this time, one of the main spearheads of the human extermination, Poison King, wanted to make an announcement. All the members gathered together to hear what he had to say, and Yukon was betrayed. Poison King and a few of his followers started attacking other members non-discriminately. It was pure chaos. Because of Yukon's complacency, many still had no idea that they were under attack. By the time Yukon was able to gather a force strong enough to counterattack Poison King's group, the Mongolians showed up. For reasons unknown, Poison King had switched sides and now allied with the humans. While weakened, the Yukon forces were eventually able to drive out Poison King and the Mongolians. But of course, this was too little too late. The damage had already been done. Dozens of lives were lost during the battle, and with over half of its members dead, it was the end of Yukon. The survivors of the attack fled back to their respective islands. As for the shulks, they disappeared into the underground just as the humans did. During the fight at the Yukon base, most of the merlings had actually escaped using a system of underwater tunnels. Of course, when they reached their island, they knew that it would only be a matter of time before the Mongolians showed up. The merlings had a plan though. Throughout the entire existence of Yukon, two players, Demon D and Iljame 520, had been creating a giant water cube at the edge of the world. This water cube went from sea level all the way to the build height, serving as not only a new home but an impenetrable fortress for the merlings. The humans did everything they could to kill the merlings. They tried to brute force it, but only ended up almost drowning. They tried starving the merlings out, but the merlings had basically infinite fish. I think they even tried lava casting, but this was simply not feasible. This water cube wasn't simply source blocks placed at the top of the world. Using Minecraft's newer water mechanics, the two merlings had created millions of source blocks, making any attempt to drain it impossible. On the other side of the world were the shulks. They had suffered the most casualties as they were the ones defending the base against Mongolians. After they fled into the underground to regroup, they realized that there was only a handful of them left. So while the humans were busy with the merlings, they mined quietly underground, gathering their resources and planning for the final showdown. Due to the events and choices that led up to this point, the world was bare. For the land dwellers, after everything they've been through, there seemed to be only one ending to the story. The Mongolians and the remnants of Yukon made their way over to the now deserted Yukon base, both sides with only one thought on their mind: kill or be killed. The remnants of Yukon were losing. While they greatly outnumbered the Mongolians, their armor and weapons were simply worse. The only thing keeping them from losing then and there were their powers. Something had to be done, and something was exactly what they did. Just like that, the battle was over. The remaining humans were slain and Poison King's group disappeared for good. There was finally peace, but at what cost? Who knows, maybe next time you can make the difference. Special thanks to the Orsfall server for helping set up this event, Geet Builds for building this awesome map, and 12YL for helping with the replay mods. You can find me on either my main Discord channel or the Races Discord channel. Hope you enjoyed!